On today's episode of the Sales Factor podcast, we have none other than Serba Markovic. He is the sales SDR leader for Deck Robot. So he's managing a team of 5 SDRs right now. And he's taken them through a process, a multi-channel process to allow them to go out and achieve the results that they need to go and achieve to be successful as an SDR. So that's through lead generation, the process, using that multi-channel from emails, phone call, LinkedIn, and some other things. His passion shines through, and you can see that throughout the conversation, right? He loves what he does. Now, he came into the sales industry a little bit later than most people, but nonetheless, his passion is shining through, and that then delivers into his work and what he does with his team. So let's get into the show. Verba, what is the biggest challenge that you are finding right now in sales?
Wow, what a question to start conversation with. Okay, obviously we are facing recession. It's more difficult selling now than it was before. Budgets are frozen, buyers are more careful, and sales cycles are a bit longer than they used to be. So no wonder why so many SDRs and EAs are struggling, hitting their quotas. To be honest, most of them are not even close getting to their quotas. So
Okay.
it's a challenging. That's for sure. And just going back to your question, consistency, hitting numbers day by day, but with a deep understanding of your ICP and like your personas will really help. You really want to take this approach like quality over quantity. So you really want to be hitting ICP and personas that they have pain points your solution can solve. But at the same time, you also want to hit some numbers because at the end of the day, you want to build your pipeline. So there is quality, first of all, but there is also some quantity as well. So I would say
Yeah.
quality over quantity, but let's not disregard the fact that you really want to build your pipeline. And of
Yeah.
course, asking me about the challenges, there is always this workflow that you need to have. And this is like, how does your day starts? Like, what do you do in the morning? You are doing prospecting, you are doing cold calling in the morning. When it
Yeah.
comes to lead gen and, like just scraping the leads, you're going to probably do that afternoon because you don't want to be wasting time early in the morning. So once you need a consistency, you need a clear workflow, so you know each and every day when you show up at work, what exactly am I doing in first couple of hours when my energy level is up? What do I do like after lunch when my energy is obviously getting low, and things like that. And one last thing is a multi-channel approach. Like we do prospecting, like, cold calling, cold emailing, and, LinkedIn messaging or LinkedIn outreach. So you want to really do all of them to make sure that you are like successful and that you like bring some numbers each and every month.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. That's one answer. I can definitely see your passion coming through there. You must really love sales, love your job and what you do. So yeah,
Yeah, I mean,
absolutely.
yeah, salespeople, they need to be passionate.
Yeah,
The passion
yeah,
is when you love what you do, and you really sell to solve problems that your customers have. You don't sell to meet monthly quota or get some monthly or quarterly bonuses, because it's gonna
yeah,
tell you really wanna strive to help your clients. That's the passion is
absolutely.
coming from.
Yeah, and I think that can be perceived when people speak to you, the tonality, the
Yeah.
personality, it drives through, and that's what ultimately builds relationships. But coming back to your point, so you mentioned a few things there around hitting quota, having a daily structure, but not just hitting quota for the sake of quota and hitting numbers, making sure the quality. And then you touched on a few things about potentially how to do that multi-channel approach, which I actually do want to get into that with you. But
Yeah.
so hitting quota every month, obviously, yes, you said we're in a recession, we're facing it. It's a bit harder to go out and um, gain more clients or gain more traction within it. So why is it such a big problem in your eyes? Is it just the recession, or Like, is there other underlying reasons why people don't hit quota?
Yeah, I mean, you can look from many different perspectives. I mean, recession is there, and okay, this is something out of our control. So I usually like to analyze things that are more within our control. If I'm an SDR or recently as an SDR team lead, really I need to think of what can I do more. And how can I, finally hit my quota? So, but like
Yeah.
just, there are certain traits that SDRs need to have in order to be successful and hit quotas. Like there is that grid, the grid that comes up to my mind, and that's like you are never there. There is always
Yeah.
something more you want to accomplish. This is this mentality, the like grown mindset, as we say, not like the fixed mindset, but like being able to learn and improve, and like asking for feedback and asking for
Mm.
mentor, and just analyzing how our certain channels are performing, crafting your messaging, trying to be better, trying to reach out to your customers, but like not come as like salesy, or like
Mm.
not like making people, not being annoying or spammy, but like more, having a real value propositions, and always, bringing personality, but with a focus on relevancy.
Mm.
What pain points do my customers have, and can really my solution solve those problems? Because
Yeah.
maybe, not all prospects are good fit for your solution. So you really
Agree.
have to be careful, really have to carefully pick your prospects, your ICP and personas, and then go after them. And there are like so many ways you can do it. So I mean,
Yeah.
recession, yes, it's there, and we would all love, to live in maybe a
Mm.
more more place with the economic growth, and
Yeah.
and it will come probably in like a year or two from now. But at this moment, you should ask yourself each and every day, what do I need to do to be better? Should I read
Yeah.
some books? Should I read some articles? Are there any podcasts I can watch? Or there are so many
Mhm.
great folks on LinkedIn that I can start following them, and like stealing some of their ideas, and maybe try to implement in that my outreach. There's so many things you
Yeah.
can do each and every day.
Yeah, it's definitely
So
a wealth of information, definitely on
yeah,
LinkedIn, where people are not necessarily giving their secret sauce or giving everything out, but they're giving like different ways to approach. And yeah, it's definitely made me stop and think and like change potential emails that I'm sending, or is it too much that I'm sending? Which is definitely help. But I agree with what you said. It's like, as an SDR, understanding what you're doing during a day to get the max performance out of it, get the max results that you can actually get out of that. But obviously, you're an SDR leader, Tech Robot. Like, what have you found that enables you or your team of SDRs to constantly hit the targets daily, to constantly go out and hit their monthly quota with quality customers?
that's a great question actually. What we do, first, we have morning meetings. They are rather short, like 10 minutes meetings, when we
Right.
discuss outreach strategies, and address any issues anybody might have. So like
Yeah.
I want them to solve problems early in the morning, so that we have a clear mind and clear focus, and to really concentrate on execution throughout the day. So like usually there are three things you want to focus for that day. So like I talk with each and every of them, what are those three things? Are those certain accounts you want to go after? Do you want to maybe craft a new sequence, or like when it comes to emailing or call calling, do you have all your leads ready with the numbers, with the emails? Did you verify your emails, bounce test them? Is it everything ready? And then like late afternoon, we have another 10-minute call. So it's again very short, when we really, how did the execution go? Usually that's what we ask.
Right.
But not only that, like I usually ask them, what are the three things that you learned?
Mm.
Some new observations. Usually what I do, I just don't measure activities, but
Yeah.
like I also measure like those non-numerical data, like
Mm.
observations from the markets, lessons learned, what did
Yeah.
work well, what didn't work well, channels for meetings booked. There are so many things you can ask from your SDRs, not just like how many demos did you book, what is the conversion rate demo to SQL, how many cold calls did you make today, how many emails did you send. I mean, okay, we all need numbers, obviously,
Sure.
numbers like those are very important KPIs, but rather than numbers, I also look for these non-numerical data. I find them very important, and just treat your people as like humans. Try provide them with the opportunity to learn and grow. And our meetings are like never the same. So if you go and if you look some of my posts on LinkedIn, you
Yeah.
will see that we are also wearing masks and that we are sometimes like being silly, because bringing this work-life balance, it's very important. We are humans, so we bring some issues from our personal lives, so we are not in a good mood. And if I see from the tonality and the overall atmosphere that something is not going well, I usually switch. Let's not discuss about job every day. Let's
Yeah.
talk about something. Maybe you mentioned earlier, like passion. Passion is always a strong drive for everybody. So I talk about passion. So I know that one of my SDR is marathon runner. So we talk about marathon and like running
Mm.
habits. I know the other likes going fishing. So from time to time we discuss that, and we are even planning we might go one day together. So all those things that really make you want to build trust with your team. So
Yeah.
once the trust
That's
is
massive.
there,
Yeah.
once the trust is there, and you are not micromanaging them, but you
Mm.
really show appreciation for what they do, because SDR job is tough job. Once they feel that you appreciate, that you are like a friend to them, they're gonna really push harder than you think. Then you don't need to
Absolutely.
track all the metrics. The numbers will show, and there's gonna be demos and SQLs, and everything will be just fine. So yeah,
Everybody's happy.
I hope I answered the part of the question.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, yeah, because people can get so focused purely on the end result, the number, the demos, all that stuff, and that's fine. We do still want to monitor that and keep an eye on that, but there's a whole underlying other stuff that you still need to, like building trust, building relationships with people, getting to know them, understand that they are human, and it's not just about hitting numbers.
Yeah,
Because if
that's
people
right.
feel safe, if they feel comfortable coming to you with problems or issues or whatever, inside or outside of work, like that's going to be a strong relationship. And then you can look at retention of staff and all that other stuff that comes into building the business and making it profitable. So, okay. So you mentioned a few things there about like they coming in, the morning meeting, they understand who they're going after, they've done all the testing on the emails, they're ready to go. Then what happens? Like, how do they actually go out and speak to people and prospect? Like, what process have you put in place where they can follow to actually go out and, speak to people, build relationships, build trust, book in meetings, etc.?
Okay, yeah, this is now a great question, and it's rather a long one, so I'll try to keep it short.
Okay, cool. So we got
Usually,
time. We got
you
time. We got
know,
time.
Warren Buffett, and we all know who is Warren Buffett. He said once,
Yeah,
don't put all your eggs in one basket.
sure.
So this is like the philosophy that I try to follow, because
Right.
I'm always into, I see more SDRs coming to me and asking me like, what do I need to hit quotas like every month? And then I just keep telling them it's a multi-channel approach.
Okay.
So you really don't want to put all your eggs in one basket. You really, because if one channel is not performing well, the other might be performing well. So you don't
Yeah.
really want to like put all the risk on one channel. Like, and I see people cold calling all day long, which is fine. I think cold calling is good. It's definitely not dead, and it will never die, because the cold calling is as human as it gets, because you can hear your prospect and prospect can hear you, and there is this tonality and there is more personalization there. But like a multi-channel approach is a great way. I started with cold calling, and just yesterday I had one new SDR approaching me saying like, Serbo, how many cold calls do I need to make each and every day? And this is really it's a simple math actually. And I said to them, let's say call calling to meeting ratio is 100 to 1, which means you need to make 100 calls to make one meeting, right? And your target is, let's say, 5 meetings per week. So you need to make 500 calls, to make those 5 meetings, or you need 100 calls per day, sorry.
Yeah.
And let's say it takes about maybe 25 calls per hour, and if you need to make 100 calls, that's like 4 hours a day.
Yeah.
And it's a simply math. Does it always work? No. But it gives you good estimates of like when there is this workflow, how much I need to do something. Luckily enough, the cold calling is not the only outreach tool. So you're not going to be calling it. I don't expect anybody to be calling 4 hours. I mean, that has to be a very boring job. But like if you're going to make 5 meetings a week by cold calling, and your ratio is like 100 to 1, you need 100 calls for one meeting. That means you're going to have to call 4 hours each and every day. If you don't do it, most probably you will not be hitting your quota for that week. That's why we have a multi-channel approach. Besides cold calling, we also have emailing. First, you want to make sure that your emails go to mailbox. Email deliverability is a hot topic right now. You want to use warm-up services. You want to verify your emails, bounce test them. You don't want to use these links or like any kind of attachments in the body of your email. You want to, first of all, you want to make sure you really land in the mailbox, because if you go to spam, it's like a waste of time. Nobody reads emails from the spam folder, right? And then, you want to keep it short subject line. It's maximum 3 words. Nobody want to read like a long subject line. The same goes with email body. You need like maximum 3 sentences, but not 3 paragraphs, 3 sentences only. And you know what? Avoid call to action in your first email.
Yeah.
You don't need call to action. It's not a good approach. Rather than that, see how your solution can solve pain points. Ask for relevancy. Is this relevant for you? Would you like to learn more about this? You're not going to say, how about the demo call next week?
Yeah.
You don't want a call to action in the very first email. So, with the email, it's a bit tough again, because you really want to make sure that first you end up in the mailbox, and second, you want to make sure how you craft your emails with a really clear value propositions. And once again, avoid call to action in your first email. And of course, then we also have a LinkedIn outreach, which is good. When I talk about LinkedIn outreach, usually there are 2 things to consider. One is building your personal brand, and the second one is LinkedIn messaging. Building personal brand is a guarantee actually for your clients, because you can't afford to mess up there, because then everybody will know it. That is why, I never chase my followers. I really try to provide value to my network. I don't like to just to have as many. I don't really watch like how many followers. I do check like once in a while, but that's not the most important. What you really want, you want to build your meaningful network. And why is this important? You want to make sure that your prospect know you before reaching out to them.
Yep.
So first, when you connect with your prospects, you want to engage with their content. You want to comment their posts, or like their posts at least. Wait with call to action. Again, you don't want call to action, but build trust first. Yep. Once you build trust, you can ask your prospects, like, how about the demo call? Or I think my solution is relevant for you and your teams. Why don't we jump on the call next week? That is fine. We already built a relationship. You trust me,
Yeah.
And once there is a trust there, I can ask you. But the most important thing is with the building, personal brand on LinkedIn is you want to make sure that your prospects know you before reaching out to them. That's very important. I think that's a key takeaway from LinkedIn, because then it's not cold outreach anymore, but it's warm outreach. And whenever
Yeah,
it's warm,
absolutely.
salespeople know whenever it's warm, it's not cold,
Mm.
it's way easier,
A lot
to get some
easier.
result,
Yeah,
right?
you've
Yeah, yeah,
easier to. So we've got a few things there. So we've got cold calling. Yes, I agree. I was always a massive cold caller. Building up relationships. This is years back. So
yeah,
I know it still works. Maybe it's not like you said, 4 hours or 6 hours on the phone. Phone's glued to you, trying to ring people and getting through. Because people are not picking up the phone. And again, if they don't know you before the call, you're likely to run into I'm in a meeting, go away, busy, don't know you. So then you have to look at the multi-channel approach, right? So what you
yeah,
said is like LinkedIn, social selling, building your personal brand, email marketing. I liked your idea or your point on like not asking for a CTA in the first email,
yeah, yeah.
providing value, a couple of different lines, boom, and then making sure that that goes into their mailbox, the main mailbox rather than the spam. So and
That's
then
right.
obviously following up with that, but yeah, do you link each section to each other? So, for example, do you look at okay, let's go to LinkedIn, let's comment and like, and then let's email them, and then let's phone them? Is there an actual sequence that you're following in your outreach approach?
Yeah, that's again a great question. I guess it all depends, as I mentioned earlier. Not all accounts are the same, really, and even within accounts, not all the territories are the same. At the moment,
Mm,
Deck Robot is into enterprise sales. We go after big four. It's a consultant companies, and we know that
right.
consultants, they are pretty independent entities, like from one region to another. And what we
Mm,
are like experiencing, it's a way different approach from, let's say, guys in UK. I know you are
mm,
based in London, and
yeah.
like the one outreach that we do for UK, it's completely different without outreach we do in US. Obviously, US is
Really?
our the biggest, most dominant market, because we have
Mm,
the most of decision makers from big four and from other consulting companies, at least bigger ones, right? Not just
mhm,
consulting, but technology companies as well. They are from US, so this is still like our dominant market. Plus, our headquarters are in San Francisco, Silicon Valley, so I guess it makes sense. But
right.
also, then we have India, we have like other markets, and they all like DACH region, like comes up to my mind again with some specifics. So, like going back to your question, like. When I mention multi-channel approach, usually what I use from 8 to 12, sometimes 15 touches per
Wow.
account. So I
Okay.
usually need about 10 to 12 touches per account so as to get some response. In most
Is
of the
that
case,
is that enterprise? Is that enterprise that you're
yeah,
focusing on, or
this
is
is
that mid market?
yeah, going after C-level folks, obviously they are very busy, and
Yeah.
it's not always easy, to drive their attention. So sometimes
Right.
what I do, I start my sequence with maybe email, like
Mm,
a opener, but that email follows up my LinkedIn connections with a blank message. Then if I once I get the acceptance, then I can maybe even write like a LinkedIn message.
mhm.
Sometimes I play a video, because you really want to make sure you stand out. Everybody's
Yeah.
sending like emails and like LinkedIn messaging. Everybody does cold calling. Pretty much everybody does,
Yeah.
which means that you really want to make sure you stand out. So sometimes, I ask my uh, SDR team members to record video, because it's also very personalized when you really get to see your prospect and we get
Mm,
to see each other. And I'm noticing more reply rates on the video prospecting rather than just messaging. So that
yeah.
might be a good way. But like all my sequences, as you mentioned, they have a combination of everything. There are emails, there are LinkedIn outreach, there is cold calling in between. Like just now, we crafted a brand new sequence with
Mm,
it lasts almost like a month, or 27, 28 days, and it
wow.
has 17 touches throughout the course of, let's say, these 27 days. which
Mm,
means they are like 4 emails. Usually I would recommend 4 emails, not more than 4 emails.
mm.
And then they are like cold calling, and of course there is activity on LinkedIn outreach as well. So like you want to
Nice.
really do, yeah, you really want to do. So there is like a probably combination of all
Which
three.
is good.
But again,
Yeah.
going back to Warren Buffett, and don't put all
Oh,
your
your
eggs
eggs
in
in one
one
basket.
basket.
Yeah.
The same philosophy applies here. Like if cold calling is not working, for example, you cannot get the valid phone number, or
Mm,
your prospect is not answering, because there is this simple math that for 100 calls you need 100 calls for one meeting, but like for 100 calls you probably get 7 8 connects only, so it's not like everybody's picking
yeah.
up the phone and it's so easy to reach. No, it's not. So if the cold calling is not working, you will start sending emails, but without CTA in the first email, with a short subject line, with a high level of personalization, but most importantly, relevancy. How is your
Mm.
solution solving my problems? Bring
I
me
think that's
relevancy, so those are, yeah.
mm, I think that's where like niching down, knowing who your ICP is, and then because again, if you're just go trying to blanket market to everyone and email to everyone, it's going to be difficult to
Yeah.
provide that relevancy, I believe. So good. Okay, so I like the process. I understand it. It sounds simple. I'm sure it's not, but like in terms of actually building it and keeping on top of it, it sounds great. So, I mean, is that all you need to be successful, in your opinion, as in sales as an SDR? Is just follow the multi-channel approach from and connected through having
I mean,
50.
that's always the safe bet, especially if
Mm,
you are a beginning. Let's say you are breaking into tech sales, and you are not experienced, you don't know all these outreach strategies, and you don't use these so many tech stacks that are
mm,
existing. The safest best bet is just to be consistent and to follow workflow. So, like, if you divide your day into 8 working hours, you really want to make sure that each working hour you hit certain targets. So at the end of the day, or at the end of the week, you really have like numbers, and
mm.
hopefully you hit your quota. So
Yeah.
like following this like process, you mentioned process, and it really starts from like lead generation. Like I spend so much time searching for good leads.
Yeah.
And sometimes I don't like I'm kind of shy, and on our like company meetings, when they keep asking us what do you guys do, like, and I see some people spending half an hour on lead gen, and like I know I just spent like 2 3 hours in the morning, and it was a killer,
Mm.
or sometimes during weekends or on Friday when there is let's say less volume of activities. I usually use Fridays a little bit, maybe like on weekends if there is some time, because lead generation is so important. Like understanding your ICP and really
Yeah.
diving deeper into like pain points of those folks. Once you
Yeah.
have a clear understanding of your ICP, then you can even craft a good value proposition, and you can be successful at the end of the day. That's what you want. So uh,
Yeah.
the, talking about process is really starting from lead generation, prospecting, uh, following this workflow I was talking about. Follow-ups are very important.
Yeah.
Sometimes if the prospect says no, doesn't mean it's really no. Maybe he's just busy at the moment. So you really want to come back in like a
Yeah,
month,
maybe it's
or
yeah, maybe it's not the
yeah,
right
or
time. It's not
yeah,
they're not
yeah.
ready right now. So
Yeah, exactly. So you really want to do the follow-ups, and there is this discipline and consistency. If I'm to say what is the one probably most important trait for all SDRs in tech space, I would say this consistency and like a discipline, like
yeah,
hitting numbers day by day and building your pipeline with as much quality as possible. That is like understanding your
yeah.
ICP so well that if you are hitting those numbers, you are going after folks that really have a pain point your solution can solve. Yeah,
Yeah, and I think that that brings it full circle, right? So it's understanding your ICP, understanding, okay, we got a quarter target to hit. Let's break it down daily, let's break it down weekly, let's have a process in place from a multi-channel
that's right.
perspective to actually go out and start, but then understanding, okay, the ICP, the people, the prospects that we can really solve problems for, who are they? And then that allows you to craft more relevant sequences to actually get in front of them and drive conversation. So yeah, I really
Yeah.
appreciate you explaining all that, Server. I think that's it's great. I think it's not overcomplicated. There's definitely some people potentially listening to this now that maybe have like, we have to use this tool and this tool and this tool and this tool and do this and do this, and it becomes too complicated where then
Yeah,
nothing gets
usually there
done.
are so many tools and you don't really need that many of them, you know, but
Mm,
like
mm,
starting with the basics. So you know, the example I presented with cold calling, like it's a simple
yeah,
math, like, you know, just trying to figure out, there are like these three main channels that we talk about, like cold calling, emailing, and social selling or LinkedIn selling. So like
yeah,
those three ones, and they are really some basics, but like the most important thing is that you perform all these three channels day by day.
yeah.
You don't want to skip.
Consistency.
You don't want to skip, because what I see, you know, I had some very successful SDRs that, you know,
Yeah,
they had a very good results and they got some good bonuses, which is great. You know, we are always happy when, you know, like those things occur, but then they simply stop building the
mm,
pipeline. And you know what happens once you stop? It
yeah,
happens that the following weeks will not be as successful. So like,
yeah,
you know, usually people tell me, how do you know that the next couple of weeks will be good? And I said, you know what, you never know, there is always some level of uncertainty. But you know, I know how hard we were working, and I
yeah,
know we were building pipeline with a really good ICP and personas. So I believe, you know, the coming weeks will be
yeah.
great in terms of demos and obviously SQLs, that, you know, the demos that will convert to SQLs at the end.
It's feeding the machine, right? So
Yeah,
you think of
exactly.
a sausage machine. You fill it with
Yeah.
meat, and
Yeah,
it comes out,
AB.
and you,
Yeah, you know what they say, ABP, always be prospecting. That is the
that's
first thing
it.
yeah, when I broke into tech, that was the first thing one guy, you know, one sales guru, if I might say that way, said to me, ABP, Serba, and you will be fine. And I said to him, you know, like, what is ABP? He says, always be prospecting. Back then, you know, I wasn't really sure, even though,
Yeah,
you know, I had a, you know, like this, let's say, big sales experience, like from multiple industries. And like, of, yeah, I was always prospecting, but like, this now I can relay 100%, like
more structured.
ABP, always
Structured.
be
Yeah,
prospecting and you'll
love
be
it.
fine, you know. And, you know, over the time, try to put some quality, you know, so you really go after good personas, and in a long run, you will be successful. I
Good.
guarantee that.
Love that, mate. Like, really appreciate you taking the time to explain that. I think there's loads of gold in there people can take away and action from the multi-channel to how to go out there to understanding like how to hit quota and going out and doing it. So you've obviously been in sales for a long time. So what's been your biggest highlight in your sales career so far?
Okay, maybe it's a nice thing to mention here. You know, I broke into tech when I was 42. You know, and
Oh,
that's really a bit unusual. You know, because we know the tech industry is a fastest growing industry, and you expect like young folks to step in and really perform the best. Um, I remember me, you know, going. So the tech industry, yeah, obviously I like it. You know, I wanted like to try myself, and like what I did first, I remember, you know, I have an MBA degree, you know, and you know, MBA is like almost 2 years program, and it costs about
mm,
50K, you know, to complete. So it's not like really for everyone. It's more for middle and top managers and entrepreneurs. So the first thing I did, I removed MBA from my title. So on the LinkedIn, it was Serba Markovic, comma MBA. You know how usually they want to kind of
mm.
make sure you see it's
Yeah, yeah.
MBA. because MBA is, it's like 2 years and it's so costly, and it really provides you with, the network and with all these business fields that you really want to master. But like that was the first thing I removed. Why did I do that? I wanted to go back to the entry level position, and that's exactly what SDR is all about.
Mm,
You need
yeah.
to hit your numbers. If you are an MBA, or if you are some, I don't know, like a senior manager, it's not likely that you will be like hitting numbers day by day. It's more like you're going to be more like strategically oriented, but not
Mm,
like
mm.
fully operational. And this entry level, that's what it needs. So that was one thing, removing my MBA from the title. But maybe the most important one, I was the only one when Deck Robot started hiring a team of almost like 20 SDRs.
Oh,
I did two things that made me stand out from the crowd. And I think it's important. That's why I'm sharing with your audience, Aaron.
yep.
Two things why I did. First, I contacted few SDRs and account executives over LinkedIn, and I started
Mhm.
conversation with them. They were a bit surprised. What the hell do I want? And I said, I just wanted to learn more about the company, about the KPIs, about your workflow, what you guys do, how does your day look like. So obviously getting more prepared for the interview process, right?
Yeah.
And obviously that gave me some advantage over others because I had a better understanding of the company, of the, persona. So I appeared more, let's say, experienced maybe than other SDRs. That was one thing, um,
Yeah.
going after account executives already working there. So it was great. And one guy, we have 4 account executives. One of them had a like final conversation with me, and he hired me. And we
Amazing. There we
already knew each other like a couple months before from
go.
LinkedIn, because so you
Amazing.
understand, yeah. And the
The
second,
power of LinkedIn, right? The power of
yeah, the
LinkedIn.
power of LinkedIn, exactly. Going back to building personal brand and like really use it, for a meaningful network. And the second thing that guy brought up later, he said to me that I was the only SDR who crafted the first 90 days plan.
Mm,
And you know what? That was not the best possible plan,
mm.
but I
That
had
is.
it. And I share with them. And I said to them, you know what, guys? I may be not the best SDR in the world. I'm
Mm,
new in tech sales, but this is what I have. And this is how I think my first 3 months should look like in your company. And I started,
awesome.
obviously, first month was more like onboarding, meeting
Yeah.
with different departments, understanding product, all these company
Yeah.
trainings. Then the second one, more like my cooperation with account executives, other SDRs, and things like that. And
Good.
he said to me, as soon as we got that from you, we said, you are with us.
That's it. It's all about
Yeah,
standing out, right, from your competition. So yeah, amazing.
yeah,
I mean, jumping in the tech market at 42, awesome. Fair play to you, mate. I mean, great. As I said at the start, you can definitely see your passion of what you
yeah,
do, and you love it. So that's always going to ooze out of you, which is awesome. And I look forward to our future relationship for sure. Um,
yeah,
Maybe one day
yeah.
we'll grab a coffee face to face.
Always,
Good. Well,
always.
just to wrap it all up for now, and if you want to just plug the business, plug, if people want to reach out to you and speak to you about Deca Robot, whatever, like how should people contact you, or if you guys are hiring right now, feel free just to shout it out.
Yeah, I'm glad that lately, I have more and more SDRs, and even some leadership positions, coming, reaching out to me, asking for any advice. So I'm really open for all of you guys. So feel
Yeah,
free, you can find my profile on LinkedIn.
yeah.
So I post like 2-3 times a week with topics that I think I know about, and most
Mm,
importantly, I only uh, write posts that I experience firsthand. So I don't post or write about things that I've heard from somebody. Okay, it's good that I heard something from you, Aaron, but if I haven't tried it myself, I don't write about that.
yeah, yeah.
I really, so all my advices are really firsthand advices. It happened to me. I talk about things that work well for me, but also I talk about things that did not work well for me. I think that's good. And like always, one message to all SDRs, let's say the junior or even senior ones, is like start building your brand on LinkedIn today.
Mm,
You
that's it.
know, because you
It will pay
really,
dividends.
it will
It will
pay
pay
dividends.
dividends in the future. It
You
is the way
know
forward.
exactly. And when thinking about whether or not going to tech, tech industry, I would probably maybe, and that's somehow I can even conclude this conversation by saying what are some of the main traits that SDRs need to have in order to be successful. I already mentioned grit, right? So it's this feeling, it's never quite there. So you are enjoying input, you are not enjoying so much output. So you like the process, you don't like the end. The end result is there, but what makes you happy and passionate is about process. So the grit, being passionate, so
Yeah.
love what you do and really care for clients. Sell not to hit your monthly quota or get some monthly bonus, but sell to solve problems that your customers are having.
Yeah.
And
That's it.
that's it. And then curiosity, this is the fastest growing industry. We talk about tech, right? And there are so many startups out there. Curiosity over being right. You don't have to be right all the time, but you need to be curious. You need to test. If one channel is not working, you need to be curious. Why is it not working? You really want to kind of try and test a new one. The same applies with accounts or territory. So curiosity is the big one, and
Yeah.
everything else will come in place.
Good, mate. That's a great way to end the show. So thank you very much for that. I think you're absolutely spot on there with all of those. So really been a pleasure speaking with you. Lots of advice, lots of actionable tips there people can take away. So yeah,
Thank you.
thanks very much for being on the show, and I'll see you guys on the next one.
All right. Thank you for having me. Bye bye. Have a great day.
So that was an episode there with Serba. As you can tell, told you at the start, loads of passion. Love it. I think that's part of the magic recipe, if you will, that will carry you through sales. Obviously, the skill set and everything that you acquire and build on over time is needed to be successful. But if you love what you do, that's half the battle. So Server talks about multi-channel approach, what he's done with his team. More importantly, structuring out the day. How are you going out? What are you doing on specific hours? How are you maximizing your day to get the most out of it? So we talked about the multi-channel approach and what he's done with his team to allow them to go out and get a higher success rate, get a higher open rate, get a higher meeting rate booked in with your prospects, from LinkedIn social selling to phone calls to emails to sequences to all sorts. But then what gave him the biggest return? What has he found that's working right now? Some really insightful information there from him to take away, look at your own process and see, can we change a few things? Is there something that we need to change if you're not hitting the numbers that you want to hit? Now, hitting quota is going to be super hard right now. Okay, for sure. We're entering in the recession, or we're already in it right now. So it's even more important to then look at the process, have a bird's eye view looking down to see, are we actually doing everything that we need to be doing? And is it the right process? It's going to give us the returns that we want. So I really hope you enjoyed this episode with Serba. I certainly did. And I will see you on